If you don't already know by now, Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan will be fighting for a UFC lightweight title at UFC 311 in January. And I'm going to give you a breakdown on who I think is going to win and how they're going to win. Now, to start off, we're just going to do a quick recap because these guys have fought before and they do have history together. This first fight took place in 2019. It was Arman Tsarukyan's first fight in the UFC when he was 13-0. I think it was 13-1. I'm not sure. But it was a very close fight. There was two razor close rounds. I gave Islam all 3 rounds, but the round 1 was very close and round 2 was very close. Round 1 consisted of entirely wrestling scrambles. Very little punches, very little damage, entirely wrestling. Round 2 is a little bit more damage. Obviously, David, whatever this guy's name is on the end, the furthest right judge on the screen, gave round 2 to Tsarukyan. Arman Sakarian. But, like, I thought it went to Islam, but it was a very close round. 2 razor close rounds, and then in the 3rd round, Islam pulled away. This fight was, 5 years ago? This is very different to the fight they're going to have today, in my opinion. But they will follow a similar theme of very close early rounds. Someone pulls away towards the end, and I'll try and tell you who without giving away the entire video because I want you to watch the end because watch time and all that. Anyway, since that point, Islam Makhachev has gone 9-0 and Arman Tsarukyan's gone 9-1, but don't let that one fool you. That one was a razor close decision to Mateusz Gamrot. Now, it seems that Arman only loses close decisions here, but I believe it was a robbery. I thought he won 1, 2, and 4, and Gamrot run 3 and 5 in their 5-rounder fight, but apparently the judges want to give Gamrot 3, 4, and 5. I thought that was a robbery, but maybe I'm bugging, so who knows. Anyway, modern day rematch. This is very close in every aspect of it. On the ground, very close. I'm also very gassy for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, on the ground, very good grappling on both sides. Obviously, Islam's was initially known for his grappling. He trains with Habib, plenty of submissions in the UFC. He was initially known for that grappling. However, he's more morphed into a fighter that's a jack of all trades and can do everything. Arman Tsarukyan has got a wrestling background. He's got very good scrambles. I recommend you watch the Mateusz Gamrot fight, the one I just spoke about earlier when I was talking about his loss. Watch Mateusz Gamrot versus Arman Tsarukyan if you haven't already. I believe it's on YouTube. You can probably find it on YouTube. It's 100% on UFC Fight Pass. But you should watch this fight. Very high fight, very high level technical fight in terms of the striking and the wrestling and the grappling. So they both have extraordinary grappling, and the wrestling scrambles in this fight are going to be fantastic. However, I think it's going to be too even on the ground for them to stay on the ground for too long. So the first 2 rounds, because they have so much energy in the first 2, they will probably end up pacing themselves, but they're going to be very competitive in the first 2 rounds, especially on the ground. And this is what happened in the Mateusz Gamrot fight with Arman Tsarukyan. They were very competitive inside the first 2 rounds on the ground. And I feel like because their scrambles are so good and the scrambles are going to be so fast and all over the place, and you have to readjust your mind to try and keep up with it, I feel like the first 2 rounds are anyone's game. But and then in the later 3 rounds, are going to move into the stand-up. So both fighters have good striking. Islam Makhachev, in my opinion, would have better striking. He's shown he can hang with the guys like Dustin Poirier and not outbox him or outstrike him, but I know the graphic I've used on the screen shows that he is technically outstriking him and significant strikes, but it's not some of them are ground strikes. They're not all boxing, but he did show if you watch the fight, visually, he can hang with him. He's not if he only struck for 5 rounds, he would lose. But it's not like he's getting 10-8'd, So, and Arman Tsarukyan, he's got good striking as well. Don't get me wrong. He's added good, he's made good improvements in his game, in his striking since that first Islam fight. Obviously, this axe kick where he's pivoting at the hips 90 degrees. I mean, who does that? Who does that? A little bit of a Joe Rogan thing. I'm terrible impressions. I should really stop doing them. But, I kind of it's funny to do. I don't know. But pulling out an axe kick randomly like that, he's got a very good hip mobility, to be fair. And that makes it very difficult to get a single leg on him as well, by the way. That can help him defend against some takedowns, maybe even reverse them against Islam Makhachev. But he does have a very good orthodox to southpaw kick. So because Islam Makhachev is a southpaw, and I believe he is an orthodox, but I think Tsarukyan can do either. If he's orthodox and not Habib and Islam is a southpaw, he has a very good kick to the body, which is kind of like a rear leg or rear body kick, where he just kicks across, and it's very difficult to defend because it can just go straight across, and there's not much you can do about it. Because if you imagine a orthodox and a southpaw standing opposite, and then his rear leg kicking round, it's a pretty hard kick to defend against, and it can start working the body. And it's also a kick that would probably win a few rounds if they're close rounds, especially in the first two. So imagine they have like really close first two rounds, and the wrestling scrambles are all over the place, and Arman just lands a few more than him, and one of them is a stabbing kick to the body. You're gonna think, oh, well, that's Arman's round. However, I still think Islam has the edge, especially when it comes to the later rounds in the fight. So Arman Tsarukyan has shown that he does kind of gas out a little bit. So in the Charles Oliveira fight, he gassed out a little bit towards the end. He also almost got submitted like 4 times as well. In the Mateus Gamrot fight, he almost gassed out as well. No, he didn't almost gas out. He did gas out. So he was winning clearly against Gamrot. And then 5th round, he's kind of like, he's trying to survive, He's not out there, still pretty fresh like Islam is in the 5th round, where you can just finish Dustin Poirier in the 5th round, or you can still strike with him in the 5th round, Like look at these stats from the significant strikes. The 5th round, even though he threw significantly less, they're very similar in terms of like 3rd, 4th, 5th. They're all within 2 strikes of each other. He had 18 in the 3rd, 20 in the 4th, and 18 in the 5th. Very close. He doesn't really gas out the same as a guy like Tsarukyan would. So for that reason, I think he does have the edge. Now you can obviously see my little well-drawn arrow here. I think that it's going to be a very close decision. However, I think Islam's going to take it. I think Arman will be able to take round 1, possibly round 3, but I can see a 48-47 decision. I can also see a 49-47 decision. No, 49-46 decision, because I feel like Islam Makhachev will be able to just hold that pace for long. I don't think Arman Tsarukyan will be able to keep up with him. On top of that, I feel like Tsarukyan, the way he wins fights is by outdoing his opponent. You can't outdo Islam Makhachev in many realms of the game. On the feet, I feel like they're very even, but I feel like Islam has the edge, as I just said. I feel like on the ground, it's too even for either of them to have an edge. So on the ground, Tsarukyan doesn't have enough of the edge to really win the fight. And on the feet, Islam Makhachev has the edge. So I feel like he'll steal most of the rounds on the feet. Therefore, I feel like Islam Makhachev will win, because Arman Tsarukyan isn't the type of guy that'll knock you out. He's not the Ilia Topuria type where he's going to go boom and you're out cold, He is a guy who works volume well, not necessarily volume, but he works off the basis that I'm going to do more than you in this round so I can win overall. Kind of like a point fighter, but a little bit more entertaining and not as Bilal Muhammad as a point fighter, if you know what I mean. So I feel like Islam Makhachev will have the edge, and I don't see them finishing each other. I don't see a finish happening from either side. It will definitely be a decision. That's the only thing I can probably guarantee. Maybe I'm wrong completely. Maybe it's just going to be like Islam Makhachev KOs him in the first round, and I look like a mong, But anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. I mean, I think this is very damning evidence and very thought out, analyzed by me. But let me know what you think. See you in the next one. Goodbye.